A viewer sent me an email asking for a tour of Riders Range. What's it like? What do I have? So, welcome to Riders Range. Here we are. I'll start by saying that this is not a huge lot. It's a 2.5 acre residential lot. And by residential, I mean that I do have two houses in fairly close proximity to me. Fortunately, I know them both. In fact, they're retired and active police officers. They don't get upset at all about the shooting. I'll also say that I do have behind me several hundred acres of agricultural land and swampland, so any overshoot areas are safe, and we'll talk more about those in just a minute. So this really started back, 1989 when I moved out here, and the very first thing I'm going to look at is going to be my where I do my accuracy stuff, bullseye stuff, and it is actually a portable range, and we'll talk about how all that works. We'll get into the 12-yard, the 25-yard, and the 50-yard areas. I'll talk about the various targets. We'll try to keep this brief, but here's what Riders Range is. This all started again back in 1989. Actually, it started before that. This particular bullet trap right here was made by Detroit Bullet Trap back in 1978. My last house, I had an indoor range, just a single station, ventilated, steel doors, concrete ceilings and walls and so forth. And I had this Detroit Bullet Trap at the end of it, and you can see it does catch the lead, and it's rated for everything up to 44 Magnum. So when I first moved out here, I had this set up for PPC shooting, where I could shoot at 7, 15, 25, and 50 yards, and that was it. And after I retired, I built this mobile range for it. Actually, it's on an old boat trailer frame, and I did some testing to see what I needed for a backstop just in case I missed that 22 by 22 area, and determined that anything that I shoot is going to be stopped by 3 layers of treated wood. So 4.5 inches roughly. So I've got 6 inches here, and you can see there are gaps in there. That's why I wanted to make sure that 3 layers would stop it. So any place I shoot on this, there's going to be at least 3 layers of 1.5 inch wood, more in many areas. So this will stop everything except hot 44 Magnums at this point. And again, the total backstop area is 8 feet high, 8 feet wide, and if I shoot under it, I do have boards I put up to protect the wheels. But I can hook this to my tractor, move it anywhere around the range that I want. Right now, it's set up so that I can shoot at 15 yards if I stand at the other end of the driveway, and I can still find my brass that way and do my precision shooting. Initially, this was set up so that I could also hang a plate from it, and it was the rack that I had to set up in there to hang a plate. Then eventually we moved to the multiple plates that we have set up now. So that's for the accuracy shooting at 15 yards. And again, I can set this up way in the back and stand out on the island out in front of my property and get 100 yards out of it if I need to, but I don't generally do that. So most of what we do starts out over here, and this tarp is set out, so if I stand right there, then I'm catching all of the brass on that tarp. So a normal shooting point is going to be right here. Most of the brass goes that way, makes it a whole lot easier to catch since I do reload. And I can easily shoot from here at 12 yards. We'll look at the 12-yard plate shortly. I can shoot at 25. And I can shoot back there at 50, all from the same spot here. I'm not likely to shoot over this berm, but if I do, it's more than a mile after you get through the stand of trees there. It's more than a mile before you get to the next residential area. If I shoot over the 50 or the 25 and get through the trees there, and again, I don't plan on shooting over them, then it's almost 2 miles that way before it gets to any place at all. So again, a very safe overshoot area if I need it. Let's go take a look at what I got set up at 12 yards. All right, we start out with a 10-inch plate over here. This particular plate comes from Challenge Targets. It's a 1/4 inch. It's also spring loaded, so it does ring a little bit, and it's angled to deflect all of the projectiles downward. And it does also, you can see here the erosion on the side. It does shoot some debris off to the side, but again, it all gets caught by the bank. The next one here was given to me by a friend, and this is from Salute Targets. And this one is, I can't remember if this is 5/16 or 3/8, but it's rifle rated. Although I don't shoot rifle at this distance. Again, it's angled down, so projectiles are deflected downwards. And on this 4x4 setup here, you'll find 6 8-inch plates. These also come from Challenge Targets down in Ohio, I believe. And I believe these are also 1/4 inch. And they're originally designed to sit on top of the shooting area here, and they're spring loaded. I don't want any projectiles potentially shooting upward, so I mounted them upside down, took the springs out, and everything that hits these goes downward, and you can see that it does do a pretty good job of eating through this 4x4. At some point they'll have to replace that. But you can also see on the debris on the bank here that there's nothing that goes beyond the bank, left or right, nothing up, and it does go down. So that was the whole intent here at 12 yards. Let's take a walk over to 25 and see what's happening over there. All right, at 25 yards, I've got a mixture of targets here. The targets on the left are 1/4 and 3/16. The white one's 3/16, I believe. The black one's a 1/4. And these are by Shooting Targets 7. And here's a 3/16 silhouette, also by, I believe that's Shooting Target 7, if I remember right. And then we've got a couple of challenge targets. This one is the 10-inch, and another 10-inch here, again all angled down. And that one's sitting so low because I did end up shooting the post through one time when I had a stationary target set up in front of it. And this is another one given to me by a friend. This is again a Salute Targets. I had to cut the post off to make it a little bit lower. I believe this is also rifle rated. And of course this has the head, torso, and pelvis flappers. And you can see just because they're so heavy, 22s aren't going to move those. 380s don't move much. Not all 9mm even move those. Again, high bank, everything's deflected downward. This one's fairly simple here. It's just using conduit with a 2x4 and a couple of brackets. I think I got these off of Amazon. And they're suspended with fire hose. And I initially did this by chain. I like the fire hose better because it holds up a whole lot better. And if you hit the fire hose, it goes right through it. And you can see there's spacers there between the plate and the hose, which does angle the plates just a little bit more. So again, I get downward deflection. A little bit of tearing up in the turf over here. But again, the side wings of this backstop area stop all projectiles. Everything's angled down so that nothing is going to leave this very area. Nice and safe. Very pleased with it. And again, woods behind it. And then over here to the 50. Let's take a walk down to 50. All right, this is where the highest bank is. Again, I'm shooting from the farthest away, and if I ever have any guests over here, now I don't do any commercial training or anything on this range. Occasionally I'll have a guest over, but if they're shooting at 50 yards, I want to make sure we have an adequate bank to stop them in case they miss. Occasionally my friends will miss. So we started over here on the left, 10-inch plate. It's a 3/16 plate, only shooting at it with 9s. Actually, I'll occasionally shoot at it with a 45. And again, this is from Shooting Target 7, from Challenge Targets again, a 10-inch plate that'll ring a little bit. We'll come back here to the middle. This is a 12-inch, also from Challenge Targets. Shooting Target 7 over here, hanging. This is just hanging by rubber mud flap instead of fire hose in this particular one. But I found out that you don't want to shoot these thin targets with a shotgun slug even from 50 yards. When I hit that in the corner, it definitely put a mark in it. I've got to pound that out one of these days. And again, just simple brackets with conduit, 2x4s. Down here, a 1/4 inch, I believe that's shooting target 7, suspended by fire hose again. 1/4 inch, 12-inch plate down there. A 3/16 16-inch plate up here, again for 9mm and 22 mainly. And my only rifle target is this one, also from Challenge Targets, that definitely rifle rated, and I've been shooting at it with a 223 from 50 yards. And I generally don't like to shoot steel with a rifle closer than 100, but the way this one's angled, I'm comfortable with it. I've never had any backsplash. If this weren't angled with a flapper in the middle that's going to deflect everything downwards, I wouldn't be shooting at it at 50 yards. So again, everything is well covered, and eventually I have to replace the conduit. You can see it's been hit a couple of times, and have to replace some of these supports at some point. Oh, and of course then there is the Challenge Targets Texas Star. We did a video on putting this together and initially shooting it, and it's shown up in a number of videos. It's actually become relatively popular, hitting the 6-inch plates at 50 yards. This is designed to be kept outside, and that's what we're doing. It can be lubricated with the 2 bearings in there to keep it spinning, and they say it's rifle rated with the thickness of the plates. I'm sure it is, although I'm not going to shoot this with a rifle at 50 yards. So we'll stick to the handguns and occasionally a 22 rifle with this one. So there's a 50-yard setup, again nice and safe. If you get past the trees, again, we're about 2 miles over shooting this one if it were to happen. So that's just a quick tour of Riders Range. Again, it's 2.5 acres. Well, the whole property is 2.5 acres. The actual area where the range is not much bigger than 2/3 of an acre here. I got some woods and some other areas, of course, for the house, the driveway, and all that stuff. So, but again, it's a safe area. If there's an overshoot, I do have a neighborhood quite a ways over that way. They can hear the shots, but again, we're out in the country. There's no prohibition in the township here against target practicing, so that's what we do. If you like this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, click on the notifications button so you know what's coming up. Share these videos. We've already passed 3,100 subscribers. I really thank those who have subscribed so far for helping us grow the channel. It continues to grow at a rate that I'm very pleased with, and not that we're ever going to be a huge channel, but that's okay. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing. Comments on this video, please put them down below. Comments on anything else, put them to info@ridersrange.com. Check our website, www.ridersrange.com. Just a quick, I don't know how quick it was, tour of Riders Range. Thanks for dropping in.